Yeah, man, it was pretty crazy. And I said, wrecked him, it nearly killed him. Welcome to Cartoonist Kayfabe Weekly Shoot. My name is Ed Piskor.
I'm Jim Rogg.
Jimmy, what week is it, man?
January 12.
How you doing, dude?
I'm doing really good.
It was a good week this past week. Put some good videos out there, and I bet the person that benefited the most was Marty, who put together that that Spider-Man bootleg comic. Right. Shouts to Marty and shouts to everybody who checked out that video. But we have a Patreon out there, and the people who are able to buy those comics before anybody else, the dude sold out.
Yes.
You know, long story short, the dude sold out, sent pictures to us of his studio, and was like, this ain't even half the orders. So the rest of his print run disappeared, and the people at the King Kayfaber level were able to scoop that comic up before anybody. And the way that you do that, I'm going to put something in the chat right this minute.
Yeah, when we talk about kayfabe effect, this is the perfect illustration of the kayfabe effect.
Yeah, it's amazing. And it's almost like a model. It could be a model for somebody, because this dude just got a whole lot more eyeballs than he had before. I would imagine an exponential amount. You know, like tagging Homeboy's name in the post. Like, I saw he got at least 500 followers on Instagram like that day. So hit up our Patreon. We have various levels there. And what that grants you is various amounts of videos before everybody else gets them. But here's the thing. The weekly shoot is our Thursday video. And we shoot at least 7 videos a week, which means there are videos that are building up that nobody's going to get to see until, you know, me and Jimmy want to go to Hawaii again or go to Japan again and decide to take a powder. Then those vids go out. You get the shot first to get those books, and it pays for itself the second there's something you want out there that turns out to be $100 by that
Start
afternoon.
Flipping those bootleg Spider-Mans. That'd be the hot book in our Wizard coverage, Ed, if we were the ones running Wizard to this very day.
That's goddamn right, man.
Top 10 hot book last week.
We shot a video commentary track, like based on a documentary, I guess you would call it, which was super fun. One of the cool things with the Patreon too is that we got enough people in there that I'm able to almost test market our vids and see what's attracting the most people, and then I've been scheduling things like accordingly. Like if something really pops, it's like, all right, man, like we got a 10,000er. On our docket, so it's very valuable in both ways.
I don't know if you're supposed to tell them that.
It's all good, man.
Guinea pigs.
It's kayfabe. Like we're all about
true.
breaking kayfabe.
Very,
here.
very true.
We got a good round of stuff that we're going to be recording in about a half hour, dude. Some super rare comics and some stuff that I would hazard to say you're not going to be able to find very, very easily. There are some new bootleg formats out there that I'm excited to show you. I showed you a little bit before we recorded, and that is going to fucking make people go bananas.
It made me go bananas.
Yeah.
I say it all the time. The kayfabe effect hits me first.
Yeah.
That bootleg is something that it kind of blew my mind.
Yeah.
I am super excited to sit down and talk about it a little bit, and very excited to share it with the world at large.
Yeah.
And again, join the Patreon, get in on the ground floor of this, because this is something new.
It really
I had
is.
not seen anything like this before.
Totally.
It's the most exciting thing in the world.
Yeah.
To really find something that like I've never seen before, and I'm super excited.
It's going to be a good video. And the way things work is that we record, we set up a live stream for our biggest supporters on Patreon. They hang out with us the entire time. And you and I, we go our separate ways. After our recording session, I immediately get to editing the videos and just start uploading them one after another. So there'll be at least 4 videos live today, maybe 5, you know, depending on your schedule.
Maybe 7.
Maybe 7. You know, like I like devoting Thursday to kayfabe business, and then you have 6 days a week to basic, or like, you know, 5.5, because you got to read the books that we're talking about. Devoted to comics, and I don't know about you, man. I had a good comic book drawn week this past week.
I had a good comic book writing week.
Yeah, you've been in this process of like starting your day. You said in one of the videos, and that video may or may not have gone out yet, but you said in one of your videos that you've been starting your day doing some headspace stuff, doing some writing.
Yes, I've been getting up at 5 a.m, go to the gym, come home, shower, eat breakfast, and then hit the writing chair.
Yeah.
At 9 and write for 2 hours. And it's based on, I think, the war on art. I'm going to give credit to which I haven't read. I've heard podcasts with the author. I think that's the title of the book, but it's the idea of creating space for the muse. But I've been reading tons of stuff. You know that thing of like you're intaking? So I've just got all this stuff in my head, not sure exactly what the next book's going to be, but shaping it so it's ready to be something. I don't know if ultimately it's the one that I'll draw next, but it's real close to drawn form at this point. And it's nonfiction, so it's been a lot of like just research and gathering stuff, and it's kind of been fun. I read, as everybody knows, tons of wrestling books.
Yes.
Who knows? Maybe that'll end up being a future, find its way onto my comics pages in the future. But it's so interesting to me to see the stuff where there is a little journalism applied and you get all these different stories. And it's stuff where it's like birth dates are different. And in my head, it's like, how can this be? Like, this is a factual piece of information. But as time passes and the sources go away, like it gets, birth date you ought to be able to track down. But depending on how old your subject is, like, who knows? If it's 200 years ago, there might not be a good record of that kind of information. And it's kind of interesting to go through and see multiple sources reporting factual stuff differently. Nothing is better than that than wrestling or the CIA. That's another one where you get some cloudy reports. But it's kind of fun to go through those sources and try to sort out. Because, like, if I'm going to make a story with one of these things, you also are putting your own spin on it. You know, like it's based on a true story or it's nonfiction, but how accurate is it? I wasn't there. Yeah. And you're putting words in people's mouths. So it's been interesting going down that route because I don't know that I've done anything substantial that was nonfiction.
Right. Yeah. And it's definitely that's a model, Like this year is the 10th year anniversary of Hip Hop Family Tree being in print.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's wild to think that it was that long ago.
It's always exciting to me whenever New Year's roll around and you do the post of like, I forget what, I guess it would have been 2012
when I did it online.
Of like starting that right around New Year's. And it's always like, man, that wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
And 10 years, not that long ago to think of what that thing is.
Changed my life in a giant way, man. But that was a lot of perfect storms because like the New York publishers were starting to kind of figure out the model of graphic novels a little better. Like I was in there pretty early with the Harvey Pekar stuff and they did not have their shit together at all. Like you had to basically live on savings for a year before you turned something in, just the way that they boilerplated their contracts with prose authors in mind. Like a novelist might take, a lot of guys take 6 months to write their book and does not take 6 months to draw 155 pages of an extremely dense Harvey Pekar script about the geopolitical destabilization of the Balkan region.
You don't just dash that out?
No. That's before, that was like right when Google image search kind of was a little more viable, but still not all there. It was still... you type in Macedonia, like you're getting a couple of drawings of etchings of Alexander the Great or something.
Yeah.
It wasn't there.
Who knows the trials and tribulations of comic book artists, right? Who thinks of this stuff?
Right. I had a 4-page week, though. May I show off some pages, Jimmy?
Please do.
That's when we started hanging out, man, we would do this kind of thing. We'll get together. It was every Wednesday, every new comic day, and then come armed with our pages and kind of share them and all that stuff. But, like, you and I are here with the Kayfabe audience, an audience of many, many makers. So fuck it, man. I'll keep myself accountable and show off the week's bounty. A 4-page week is a good week, but the thing is that some of those, I was able to create like a template for a panel board. Like, I'll just show this shit and shut the fuck up. So hopefully...
I like the accountability thing. I've been thinking about that a lot because we talked about New Year's resolutions last week, and I'm trying to get all kinds of stuff back in order. It's been a hectic couple years in my life personally.
Yeah.
The accountability is such a big thing, and I feel like we can use these weeks, Ed, almost like our old weekly meetups.
That's what I'm saying.
Where it's like, bring the work, what have you done, what's up this week, and try to stick to it. Like I was thinking of New Year's resolutions that everybody does and they fall away.
Yeah.
They should be monthly resolutions.
Oh, totally.
Evaluate how that month went, make some adjustments, and if you fell off the wagon or the horse, get back on the next one.
I learned muzzle flash from Steve Dillon.
Interesting.
Like he would do in Preacher Comics, he would do like it's finger painting. You just put the ink on the fingertip and just kind of dab it around. My innovation to it is just hitting that white gel pen for like the flash.
Yep.
And then maybe some like white dabs to sort of accentuate things. So, like, my story is about this guy, the cryptocurrency keeper, who's a YouTuber, and this page shows his growth. So, like, at the start, he's just very lo-fi. The middle one, he's getting a little bit more production values. Same Yeti mic, by the way. Like, both of our Yeti mics. You see, top panel is just our mic right here.
That's funny.
And then the middle panel is my mic that's on the drawing table right here. And then, so our third step, Jimmy, will have full costumes and sell fleshlights that are dedicated Cartoonist Kayfabe.
I feel like we're slightly behind schedule on the fleshlight in the history of podcasts.
It'll
it's
be
one of their
Blue
first
Chew
sponsors, right? Yeah, Blue Chew.
Well, I think we're in the Blue Chew era now.
You might be right about that. Yeah, and I bet you there's some cartoonists out there and comics fans that could use that.
That's true.
We sit around a lot, not the healthiest lifestyle, so
yeah.
Use some help.
Yeah, but even if you don't need it, I forget what did Bubba the Love Sponge call it, man. The Rattler, he called it. He take a couple Blue Chews, take a Cialis, man, and then even if you don't need it, you recharge quicker, from what I understand.
Yeah, I guess so.
So yes, it was a good 4-page week. I'd love to keep on that trajectory, man, because I got about 2.5 issues to draw. Just talked with the publisher 2 days ago to set up basically the next couple years of Fantagraphics releases.
That's wild.
Yeah. So there's gonna be lots of news, and I feel like you soft released or announced some stuff with some of the stuff that you're showing off on your Instas and things like that, man, with where Street Angel's concerned and stuff. But
yeah, I'm doing a new Street Angel collection of the first Street Angel stuff. Basically, everything that's not in Deadliest Girl Alive will be in a new collection, Princess of Poverty, coming out from Image Comics. Right now, it's scheduled for May, but I have not finalized the contract, so it's possible that may get pushed back. But I'm hoping to finalize that tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's available for pre-order now online. So
let's
Princess of Poverty, Street Angel, start pre-ordering it now wherever you get your books, and that'll be out May, probably June at the latest, if something, if we have a hiccup here or there.
Let's pound that pavement, man. Like, if the pre-order's up there, meaning it's on, like, Amazon and
It
things?
is, yes.
Oh, dude, like, guys, you got to go there, pre-order that thing right this minute, because the way that you support the channel is to buy our books.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And when we have these new releases, it's been very cool how the Kayfabe audiences showed up to support the work.
It's going to be nice on the shelf, too. Of course, I'm designing it in mind with, like, sitting next to Deadliest Girl Alive, because that'll be the complete Street Angel. Everything that I've done so far in Street Angel will be in those 2 volumes. And one of the books that we've looked at recently that we have not made live yet, a very good 90s zine. I may be stealing some ideas content-wise of how to present an older work and sort of like have some running commentary throughout the book.
Genius.
So, yeah, I'm putting that book together now. I love building the books. That's a very fun activity. Creating a bunch of new artwork for it, of course.
Right.
And, yeah, that's going really well. I sent 2 skateboard deck designs away this week for new Street Angel skateboard decks. So more on that as those become available for everybody to order.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I had a skateboard company hit me up this past week, and I just wonder if it's the same guy, and I wonder what your relationship is, like how you like it and stuff. So we'll put a pin in that for off camera.
Sounds good.
That just came to mind. I'm sorry.
I have one last thing.
Yes.
This week I am painting.
Nice.
I have 2 paintings on my schedule, which is what I'm basically doing from Saturday until next Thursday whenever we meet up again. I haven't painted since 2000, I think, or even 1999. And I got canvas and everything. I'll be stretching my own canvases. I'm super psyched for it. And who knows? We'll see how it goes. And if possible, I'll show those off if it works and I'm able to do so. But I'm looking forward to it. I like these weekly...
Yeah.
These little weekly, like, plan out what's going to happen in this next week. Like you mentioned, the number of pages. It's good to have those plans, man. And a week is a good amount of time for me to manage.
Yeah, for sure. And it's just like one of those things. Like, I got to get at least 3 pages in. You see sort of the level of detail in those. And the way I was able to get that third one done is because there just wasn't that much of a requirement. But it's got to be at least 3. And if it's not, you have to reassess that week and figure out how you can shave off some time for yourself, man. I think, like, what a lot of people do, a lot of extremely very busy, successful people do, is they play around. Like, there's a 25-hour day, which would be a situation where 1 hour is 4% of your day. Is that right?
Yeah.
1 hour is 4% of your day at 25. So with that in mind, you don't want to waste 4% on some bullshit. Or, like, as you're putting your schedule together, you know, you got to allocate accordingly. Like, is this worth 4% of your day? Is this worth 2% of your headspace? And they kind of manipulate their schedules that way to just try to cram all the stuff in that they need. And at a certain point, for people at the highest levels, man, the stuff that makes them the most money, like, also doesn't exactly take all that time.
Right.
Like, a lot of those 4% chunks are devoted to family and you know, relationship responsibilities.
Yeah, it's interesting. I never think about it that way. It's kind of good. I could even see going like 10-hour workday, and then it's 10% as an hour.
Yeah.
You know, and really focus on the work part.
It'd be nice to have a 10-hour workday someday in my life. I just I got a little stack of some other stuff here. Like, I got so much shit in Japan, Jimmy, about 600 pounds worth of books. So much of it shipped. But there are things that that probably won't exactly yield an episode, or maybe it will, you know. But like, I thought that like some of the stuff would be kind of cool to show off. Like, we did an episode on the first issue of Kamui from Viz Comics, and like that was probably one of my earliest manga that I ever checked out. I'm a giant mark for that, the Sanpei Shirado stuff. So like when I was at Mandarake shopping with Uncle Jeff, he pointed out this biography of a Grizzly comic. It's full color, and Jeff was like, you know, the cool thing about this is it's nearly silent, and it's almost like Bambi, except it's a grizzly bear.
That book looks amazing. I flipped through it before we started recording.
Yeah.
And you know what it made me think of is Bissette's Tyrant.
Yeah.
You know, the idea of taking an animal and really chronicling its life from birth to death.
Yeah.
It's a cool idea, and that book looks amazing.
Yeah, he was real, firing on all cylinders at that point. But then this is the stuff where Jeff just like bought bags of shit and just was like, "Here, Ed, it's a poison gift for you. Now you have to carry 20 pounds of books around." But I think we got some like Kamui Den, which is the OG Kamui. I think this is a Kamui also.
I love that box, that like the box for that. It's very industrial looking. Like you can see the staples and stuff how it's put together. Kind of makes me want to do my own box set now.
I know what you mean, man. Nah,
slipcase, I guess they would call it.
You could see the art is Kamui-ish, but this is not Kamui. But you know,
what a book!
Walking around with a 600-pager from Nakano Broadway, and when you go to the Mandarakes there's everything's spine out. Mm-hmm. You know, like I was talking to people who just came back from Japan with the Center for the Columbus people. CXC. Or I guess like
CCAD.
Yeah,
it's all kinds of stuff there.
Yeah.
A lot of comics energy in Columbus.
Yeah. And the spine out thing was a bummer because they didn't have an Eddie P amount of time to be out there. They had like 6 days and maybe 1 day at the Mandarake. Because like what I would do is go out there and just be there the whole day, get lunch there, and just yank stuff off and check it out. But at Nakano Broadway, there would be pull tabs, like little tabs sticking out, and it will have the name of like the biggest mangaka. So there's like the Sanpei Shirado section, and they cluster those guys. So the Otomo stuff is, you know, on this wall, but like the Sanpei Shirado stuff is here, and in between there's like the whole bookshelf that's all Go-Go 13s, you know, 150 volumes of Go-Go 13, and then you have your Go Nagai, and then all the Go Nagai disciples like Kaze Shinobu and Ken Ichikawa are like underneath the Go Nagai. It's set up so fucking crisply. One of the things that I didn't bring to show off here is I grabbed a couple Goseki Kojima pre-Lone Wolf and Cub joints that were completely written paste by him, just out of curiosity, because like that's the other thing that kind of sucks is they have all their shit in fucking bags at those stores. Even you can't even go through the weekly mags at the Lawson anymore. They tried to clean things up for the 2020 Olympics because they just didn't want to deal with Gaijin looking in Young Magazine with these.
Mandarake should have like English speakers.
They do.
That are, that are like there to be like your guide. You know, like you should be able to like pay them for the service of like, okay, you're gonna walk me through here. I'll tell you what I'm looking for. You can point this stuff out to me. How valuable is that?
I'm telling you, like you ask for something or show a picture. And then you will have a guy with you doing that until you're satisfied.
I had a bad experience with that.
Out there?
Yeah.
That's too bad. Was it the Akihabara or Nakano Broadway?
It was it was Knock No Broadway, but it was, I was looking for stuff like you hold up the picture and stuff, and they kind of looked around and were like, we don't have that. And I'm browsing and I found it, and it was like, oh man, now I got to think about every single thing I've looked for and didn't find. Are there other things that have been overlooked?
Going out there the first time, like I had people who kind of introduced me to like the managers and like all that kind of stuff, and like the vice president took us out to dinner, and I realized that what they see me as now, and this ain't a bad thing, is it's like that episode of Sopranos where they go to the casino, and like one of the bartender chicks is like, oh, you could just take the helicopter, and then they're like, oh yeah, and then now the guy who runs the casino is like talking to the boss who pays for the fuel for the helicopter, and he's like, oh yeah, the guy spent $300 on chips or something like that kind of thing. Like, the big willies get the king treatment. Man, those dudes, they took us out for A5 Wagyu and Kobe beef dinner. So like, I think they see us as like we would get the helicopter ride. Me and the crew would get the helicopter ride with the amount of loot that we spent.
Yes, definitely. I just finished the Stan Hansen biography, and he spends a lot of time in Japan and talking about that, and talks about Wagyu beef and Kobe beef and how grateful he was to have sponsors that would pay for those meals for him.
We're talking like the A5 Wagyu. It'll be like a cube like this, and they're so proud of getting that designation, and it's such a big deal that there's like a little toothpick with like a little certificate of authenticity that it was certified as A5 Wagyu. And when you eat that stuff, you can only eat a couple of like maybe 5 or 6 of these, because the way it works is the fat is distributed. It looks like lunch meat almost, where like a salami, where there's just like little like fat dots all throughout. But what happens is when you heat that stuff up, that fat just melts into the meat, and it is so rich. There's no way you could have like a whole steak of that, because you probably shit your pants before you get home. But a little dab will do ya. And they hook that stuff up, man. And also, it was so funny, man. Highball is the drink of choice for a lot of the Japanese salarymen and shit, man. You see that on the menu everywhere. Highball. I don't know what that is. It sounds like an old person, like some shit that Frank Sinatra would drink. But when these guys start getting highballs in them, I completely forgot to tell this story, man. When they start getting their highballs in them, then they start talking about their celebrity customers, and I have to use hand gestures to sort of get it across, because like their English is limited. Some of these dudes that took us out, and he would be like, this one dude would be like, Kanye West, Shibuya Mandarake, Ghost in the Shell statue, Akira Toriyama art book, Otomo, Dojinshi. Like that. Dojinshi. And he's like, this, Dojinshi. Just talking about like the porn comics that Kanye West is buying at the Shibuya Mandarake. So drunk and like turning red in the nose and face and
That's
all that
hilarious.
stuff. And then he was talking about like Nicolas Cage buying all kinds of weird shit.
Oh, I bet.
And I always thought like, oh man, yeah, we're big willies. Like I'm getting 4 luggages full of stuff. And he's like, oh, Guillermo Del Toro. He comes with 6 luggages. He leaves with 13 luggages.
Man, I was thinking 6 like you're being challenged. Like, you could probably do 6, Ed. 6 this year. 13. 13's it's a commitment.
Yes, sir, man. And I think it was during COVID time, Guillermo Del Toro put a tweet out showing he had a guest house. And it's only now that I've been starting to meet like rich ass motherfuckers that have guest houses. And it's like a pool house. It's like a simple, it's almost like a log cabin type thing. Have its own bathroom and stuff, but it's like one big room, but it's 4 walls, but it's gigantic and sexy. And Guillermo Del Toro showed off a tweet of the guest house on his property, but it's his like manga hut. And just a giant library of all his manga art books and all that sort of stuff. So it's like, that's some of the shit that he went and pulled out. Are you getting the targeted ads from the MoMA with the Pinocchio, Guillermo del Toro art exhibit that's up right now with all the stop motion puppets and shit.
I haven't seen it.
Fucking looks amazing.
Yeah,
man.
I bet. I'm sure.
It's so cool. I keep getting those ads, and I'm like, God damn it! I might have to take a freaking trip to New York. I'm too old now, man. I hit 40 in 2022, and what I used to do when there would be something fresh like that is you go downtown, 7 a.m. You catch the Amtrak, and get to New York at 4:30. You go do what you're gonna do, because I would go there for rap shows and shit. You go do your thing, but you have to be out by 11 to catch the Bolt bus back, and it'll drop you off where you got on at 7:30 the next day. So it's like a 24-hour session, and you hope to get a little sleep on the bus back, but can't be doing that anymore. That ain't happening.
That's a tough 24 hours for sure.
Cool, man. So I don't know, Jimmy. I feel like I'm in a talkative state at this moment.
I got to show off one more of your books.
Oh yeah.
Flip through this one, because I really get excited over this. I picked this up before you come in the room, Ed, and was flipping through it. This is a Yakuza, like it's all one story, right? It's kind of built like it could have been, one of their phone books with a bunch of stories, but it's all one story, and it's like gangster comics.
Yeah.
The art is phenomenal, and you said you got this at a convenience store, like a 7-Eleven kind of.
These are built, like when you see these super thick fatties like this, these are built for the convenience store, and you do see them. These are older, because my thing is I can tell when shit is digital. And I like pen to paper. I like the wobbliness. I like the rawness of that. So I'm looking for Showa era comics, man. And when you go to a book off, I got these at a book off.
Yeah.
And they were super cheap at a book off. But this was like some of the only kind of comics of that era, because there's so much contemporary stuff that just sells. But you will see these at your Lawson or 7-Eleven, and 600 yen, it's like 130 yen to $1. We're looking at 500-page comics, and it's hardcore stuff.
Right.
These would be right next to One Piece tankobons and stuff, but they just don't have. It's just not that big of a concern to the Japanese customers, like that, some pornish type shit is
it's
right
such a in my opinion, a respectable way to manage this stuff, because what you're doing is if you want One Piece, you're not buying this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The subject is completely different, the tone, the look, everything. So it's kind of like, if you're not buying this, I don't think, for the adult element.
Right.
I'd be shocked if that were the case. But just tone-wise, totally different. And I was real impressed with it, just in terms of, it almost looks like a blue-collar comic to me.
Totally.
Or street level, we would say, like with some of the stuff that we've looked at in other videos.
Yeah.
And it feels like it's just casual. It's just so interesting that this is like a comic that you would go and buy 500 pages. It's a novel length of material.
Right.
Just almost like Executioner, or
Exactly.
like one of those kind of men's paperback kind of books from here, except this one happens to be in comic form.
It's exactly. I mean, that Remo Williams might as well be Duke Togo.
Yes.
It's the same energy. It's the same guys, and it's kind of the same system, because the dude that created Remo Williams wrote a couple dozen Remo Williams out of the 150 Remo Williams that are out there. They create a system, and the Google 13 dude created the system. I think they're still churning them shits out. The guy passed away last year, I think, or the year prior.
He does have a skyscraper to maintain, so
isn't that amazing? like I always wanted to go check that out. The other guy who has a very prominent. Everybody was like, "Oh, did you go see Kazuo Umezu's house? Did you go see Kazuo Umezu's house?" I'm like, I did not go see it, but everybody also brought it up. And in this one town called Kichijoji, I guess a theme of I don't notice it in the comics, but maybe it's the covers to his original books or something. There's a theme of black and red, or black and red, or there's a stripe imagery, something like that, and his crib is black and red, amongst all that kind of functional architecture, in those neighborhoods.
Yes.
He's got this black and red house.
Wow.
that made the townspeople fucking nuts. He had to go to fight court battles and shit to keep his
That's
black
amazing.
and red house.
On brand, as they say.
Yeah. Oh, dude, this is the Goseki Kojima comic. This is the guy that drew Lone Wolf and Cub, but this is a comic he did before Lone Wolf and Cub. And I could see this being an episode if we ever talk some more Lone Wolf and Cub. We should probably read one of those Bunko Editions or something.
Definitely.
But you see, he was an assistant to Sanpei Shirado when Kamui Den, the more cartoony version, was out there. So this is kind of that bridge between kind of the cartoony Kamui Den and then Lone Wolf and Cub as we know it.
Yeah, I feel like you can see a lot of that work there.
Yeah, and then Kamui becomes like a Goseki Kojima influence kind of material, man. But this is one that I want you to take a good look at after when we're off cam and stuff. And then several Maruo books.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, like he's got such a big library. We make some of the people in the Kayfabe audience nuts whenever we like mention Maruo and pull out Mr. Arashi's Freak Show, because they've been looking for that for like 10, 15 years, and their copy's going for like $1,000. Pretty cool cover.
Benefit of having great local comic book sellers.
Yeah, and just getting in early.
Yeah.
You know, like we're old dudes now, Jimmy.
Yeah, I guess so.
And getting those comics, 20 years ago when it was no thing, nobody was looking for it. But Maruo, he's like got those freaking chops, and this is a symptom of showing it right now is just. It's a consequence of checking out Peach Momoko's Outlaw Roots when she was kind of pulling from that energy, which is a video that we posted this past week. But Jimmy, man, it's been a half hour.
Yes.
You feel you're in a talkative state? You ready to roll?
Let's go, man.
Record some videos?
Let's go talk comics, Ed. Once again, man, invite everybody to join us for that. Get on our Patreon now, and you can watch us continue this conversation with some real specific comics examples as we dive in.
Absolutely, man. So I just posted that link to the Patreon. Jump in at the King Kayfaber level, and for the King Kayfabers out there, what's cool is each week seeing more and more volume in the chat rooms showing up to those streams.
Absolutely.
Man. What happens from this very moment of this live stream? We keep this live stream up, so if you snooze, you don't lose. You still get this video. We're going to tear down for about 10, 15 minutes. And the cameras are going to just blaze right back up. And we're going to be shooting this next week's round of video content. And the King Kayfabe supporters are going to be there in the chat with us. And if they're not in the chat with us, they're going to get the stream because we keep that live on the Patreon. So without further ado, Jimmy, give them the marching orders. Let's go talk comics.